Good morning. It is still morning. It is 10:53. So it is morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. This is the Morning Devo with Bo. I'm your host, Bo Willette, and hope you guys are doing good today. I've been dealing with a little bit of that sinus yuck, which is no fun at all. Just kind of trying to work through the bugs. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope everything sounds okay. And we are on and going well. We're going to be in Ezekiel chapter 27 today, which is cool. Excited about that. And it's kind of interesting when you read about these historical places in the Bible. We're kind of focused on this one called Tyre, which is a kind of a beach area. We tend to sometimes check out, and a lot of people do when they kind of read the Bible, they check out. But I kind of look at them like, kind of like places that maybe have, like, if you will, I kind of use it as like a metaphor, as like something else that's in your life that maybe is a stronghold or a place that you struggle with, or that's kind of I don't know if that's making any sense. It's kind of like, like the Babylon of your life. Maybe that's something you might understand. Like when I listened to a lot of reggae growing up, different people, Bob Marley, whether Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, of course, they all talked about Babylon. And of course there's a literal Babylon, but then there's the kind of metaphor, using it as a metaphor for systems of evil. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Sometimes when I talk about Tyre, I'm talking about just application-wise about that place that is maybe needs to be brought down in your life. So anyway, sometimes I think that way when I'm reading the scriptures. Not that it doesn't have, we have to always look at things in context, don't get me wrong. But sometimes just when I'm doing a devotion, and this is the Morning Devo with Bo, and I like to sometimes pull out applications. And sometimes I do that just by kind of these kind of metaphor ways of looking at things. So it says, "Then this message came to me from the Lord, Son of man, sing a funeral song for Tyre." So this is not the first funeral song that is told to be sung for Tyre. And it says, "The mighty gateway to the sea, the trading center of the world, give Tyre this message from the sovereign Lord." Okay, so just as Israel, we found out, was a very important place because it was on the trade routes from the north to the south, to the east, and then Tyre literally seemed like they had a real ownership of the exportation of goods through the sea and the importation of goods. And so it being a coastal city, this place grew in money, obviously business, and it was kind of that, I guess, kind of metropolitan area. So when you think of it like that, you can think of, I grew up in Los Angeles area, where you have, Long Beach, El Segundo, you have these different places, that are by LAX. And when you go by LAX, the airport, you see a bunch of cargoes and ships and all kinds of cargo things that go on those cargo ships. And that's maybe a gigantic version of what was going on in Tyre, but Tyre seems to have really been able to hold its own as far as building an economy. So think of it that way, that big kind of, trading place, that money-driven area. Give Tyre this message from the sovereign Lord. "You boasted, O Tyre, my beauty is perfect. You extended your boundaries to the sea. Your builders made you beautifully perfect. You were like a great ship built of the finest cypress from Sinir. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for you." Again, when you read about Solomon in the building of the temple, Solomon's temple, you'll read about this place and the cedars that were imported into Israel proper. for the building of the temple, the surrounding areas. So, and it says, they carved your oars from the oaks of Bashan, your deck of pine from the coast of Cyprus, and it was inlaid with ivory. So beautiful. Man, you're a beautiful person. You're beautiful. You're amazing. The city, right, is incredible. And again, when you look at this like a metaphor, you can see it as like, those things that, you think are all that good, right? But is it really good? Is it really that good? We'll see. And it says, your sails were made of Egypt's fine linen, and they flew as a banner above you. You stood beneath blue and purple awnings, made bright with dyes from the coast of Elisha. You get the idea of fashion, just beauty, right? A society that's very much into its decor. Have you ever seen like how much we really concentrate on our homes? I don't know if you've ever really thought about that. We see that is actually an issue with the people of Israel. We've already seen that in the book of Isaiah. It's also in some other prophet books where they focus so much on their own personal homes that they have neglected the temple of the Lord. They've neglected really their walk with God. They're really wrapped up in what kind of tile they have in their house, or what kind of, kitchen cabinets they have. And everything is about decor and beauty and luxury and comfort. And you see a lot of warnings in these prophet books, these prophetic books of the Old Testament about this kind of luxury, this kind of focus. And here you see it again with Tyre, right? And it talks about that. They're really into their decor. It says the oarsmen came from Sidon and Avrad. Your helmsmen were skilled men from Tyre itself. Wise old craftsmen from Gebal did the caulking. Ships from every land came with goods to barter for your trade. Man, a lot of contractors, really made a good living out there in Tyre and building up, your ships, this economy that you had. It says men from distant Persia, Libya served in your great army. People that came up from the south, came up north to be a part of the military of Tyre. It says there hung shields of helmets on your walls, giving you great honor. Men from Arvad and Helek stood on your walls. Your towers were manned by men from Gammon, and their shields hung on your walls, completing your beauty. It seems like their wall decor was beautiful. Everything just really showed, their military might, their economic power. Really just a boastful place. Is this relevant to us today? Do we live in this kind of society as well, where there's such a focus on things that we forget the main thing, in life? That's something to think about. And that's why we're doing the devotion, is to think about these things. So it says Tarshish sent merchants to buy your wares in exchange for silver, iron, tin, and lead. Merchants from Greece, Tubal and Meshech, brought slaves and articles of bronze to trade with you. So people from the north also were involved. Not just people from the south, but people from the north. Man, Tyre seemed to really be that hub and a very good-looking place for all kinds of people to make money, to profit, and to grow in a financial prosperity. And it was very attractive. It says, from Beth Togarmah came riding horses, chariots, horses, mules in exchange for your goods. Merchants came to you from Dedan. Numerous coastlands were your captive markets. They brought payment in ivory, tusk, and ebony and wood. So from the Arabian desert, all over the place, people came. Syria sent merchants to buy your rich variety of goods. They traded turquoise, purple dyes, embroidery, fine linen, and jewelry of coral and rubies. Judah and Israel traded for your wares, offering wheat from Minnith, figs, honey, olive oil, and balm. It's kind of neat. I guess if you were maybe more into world economics, this would be kind of a cool passage, right? You get to see what people traded, how they traded, what they traded for, what really grew in their land that they could bring. People from the South bring ivory, different things like that, something unique to the culture that other people wanted for other decor purposes, right? The textile industry, things like that, the ancient, industries. So I find that very, very cool. The Bible is not a book that is out of touch with the world. Sometimes people like Bill Maher will say things like that it's laughable. Well, what's laughable about it? It sounds pretty real to me. Growing up in Los Angeles, again, you see cargo ships all the time. People are trading everywhere. This doesn't seem out of the ordinary, right? It seems pretty relevant. So it says, Damascus sent merchants to buy your rich variety of goods, bringing wine from Helbon and white wool from Zahar. Greeks from Uzal came to trade with your merchandise. Wrought iron, cassia, and fragrant calamus were bartered for your wares. Dedan sent merchants to trade their expensive saddle blankets with you. The Arabians and the princes of Kedar sent merchants to trade lambs and rams and male goats in exchange for your goods. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah came with all kinds of spices, jewels, and gold in exchange for your wares. You can see why Solomon really tapped into the wealth of Tyre. They really had a lot going on as far as their trade. And Solomon saw that and certainly wanted to benefit from it. It says Haran, Kena, Eden, Sheba, Asher, and Kilmad came with their merchandise too. They brought choice fabrics to trade, blue cloth, embroidery, multicolored carpets rolled up and bound with cords. The ships of Tarshish were your ocean caravans. Your island warehouse was filled to the brim. Okay, so just so you know, Tyre is depicted as something beautiful, wealthy, filled with the luxuries of the world. Absolutely attractive. That sounds familiar just, in our lives. There's things that are attractive, things that we find fascinating. And it's funny, sometimes those things can be hard to spot. Meaning sometimes we tend to tap into things that are just deep within us. Sometimes we become so kind of people that are moved, say, by insecurities, that we grow to kind of love being insecure. And then we love the control that we try to kind of inflict on others. We don't see it that way a lot of the times. We kind of see it as just our behavior. But if you chip through the veneer, as Jesus called that whitewashed tomb, that thing on the outside that looks nice, you kind of see that inside we got a lot of things going on. That maybe the reason why I try to control my family or control my spouse or control things is because there's a deep insecurity within me. And I've grown to buddy up to that insecurity. It seems somewhat beautiful to me. And then there's a lot of things. Sometimes it can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be sexual relationships, it can be all kinds of things like that we tend to find attractive, right? And we move towards those things. But it can be those things deep within. Jesus said that's what really defiles us, is those things that are not that's not what does he say? Not what goes into the body that defiles them, but it's what comes out. And the list he gives are things that are inside of us, right? Our thoughts, the things that we dwell on, the issues of our heart, the anger, the envy, the strife, this kind of stuff. So we all have, in a sense, something that's attractive to us, that moves us. Sometimes I got to sit down and just think, what is it? What is it that I find myself going to? It says, but look, your oarsmen have taken into stormy seas. A mighty eastern gale has wrecked you in the heart of sea. Everything is lost, your riches and wares, your sailor and pilots, your shipbuilders, merchants, and warriors. On the day of your ruin, everyone on board sinks into the depths of the sea. Your cities by the sea tremble as your pilots cry out in terror. All the oarsmen abandon the ships, the sailors and the pilots on shore come to stand on your beach. They cry aloud over you and weep bitterly. They throw dust on their heads and roll in ashes. They shave their heads in grief for you and dress themselves in burlap. Yeah, shaved head was a sign of mourning. short hair, right? Very short, kind of shaven. That was not the norm of the Bible world, right? Longer hair was a little normal. And other cultures, of course, did have short hair. But it seems like that the Jewish people were not one of them. That when they shaved their heads, it was a sign of mourning. That'd be weird if you walked into a church and you said, hey, everybody with short hair, I take it that you guys are crying. You're in mourning, right? That would be kind of interesting, right? People would be like, what are you talking about? This is our normal. This is what we're used to. Yeah, it's because of a lot of us come from Europe, right? So it says, as they wail and mourn over you, they sing this sad funeral song. Was there ever such a city as Tyre, now silent at the bottom of the sea? The merchants you traded satisfied the desires of many nations. Kings at the ends of the earth were enriched by your trade. Now you are a wrecked ship, broken at the bottom of the sea. All your merchandise and crew have gone down with you. All who live along the coastlands are appalled at your terrible fate. The kings are filled with horror as they look on with twisted faces. The merchants among the nations shake their heads at the sight of you, for you have come to a horrible end and will exist no more. So it hones in on this one ship. That is the glorious thing, that everybody fills it, and it's filled with all these important people, and the ship goes down, right? And everybody is sad, and they mourn the loss of such beauty, such elegance, or such, grace, if you will. But it all comes crashing down to a horrible end. And, I guess, chapter 20, we saw 6 is about Tyre, 27 is about Tyre, and we're going to see 28 is also about Tyre as well. So there's something important that God really wants us to understand about all this luxury and all this elegance and all these things, and that is something is moving you and me to places and people and things that attract us, that kind of move our passions. And even though logically we know maybe not to do those things, our passion trumps logic, right? Our passions kind of move us in many ways. What I find too so fascinating is the idea is Jesus more of my passion than these other things? If Jesus isn't, and that relationship with Jesus isn't passionate, then maybe these other things will dominate and take over. And it's just a matter of time before that passion will trump logic. Meaning I know not to do it, but I find myself doing it. Doesn't that sound like the Bible? Even though you know to do good, you don't. Even though, with your mind, you want to obey the law, but you find another law at work, a law of sin and death within you too, that is going against the law of wanting to serve God in your mind. Who can deliver us from such a body of death that wants to go the wrong way? Well, the Bible says thanks be to Jesus Christ, right? Who delivers us. But we have to get to the place where we know that our passions very much can be in the wrong spot. And we have to come to a place in our life where we just perhaps can look at ourselves and go, I see where my passions have taken over. Where I've tried to control things. Where really my insecurities have gotten the best of me. The things that seem so attractive, that seem so, amazing, and today we have a pressure to be liked. We have a pressure that's why we have like buttons, right, on social media. We have a pressure to be a part of something. People want to join groups and identities and find themselves. But we see that the more people are following these passions and finding their identities, the more that we see that they become lost. And we have more depression, and we're scared as ever and hateful as ever. And it's because our passions are in the wrong spot. I guess what we could say about this chapter is we as human beings have a worship problem. We tend to worship the wrong people, the wrong places, and the wrong things. And so hopefully, you can see that in this chapter. Hey, what's up, Patty? Good having you back. Hope you're well. Mike, everybody, hi. So, I guess we can ask the question just, where is your worship? Where is my worship? What am I really looking at? When people look at my life, then they look at my house and they look at my car and they look at whatever it is, my motorcycles, my skateboard, whatever it is. What do they see that's important about my life? Is it this? Is it that car? Is it that motorcycle? That hockey stick? That's very specific to me. To those things. Is it food that's everything? Is it this? Is it that? What is it? Or can people see Jesus? I'll end with this, and that is, when I read a chapter like this, I think of my old man, my dad. My dad, you could say a lot of things about my dad, but man, did he have his priorities right on in so many ways. When I looked at my dad and his life, he invested in people, and he didn't have anything of financial worth at the end of his life. Not much at all. Kind of like a Mozart, you kind of die with, a couple dollars kind of thing. A Rembrandt or something like that. These people that, that you hear they die, but they don't have anything, right? Even though they're neat people. But my dad just invested in the right things. When I look at the value of his life, it was his investment in others. That's what I see. His investment and his love for people, his true, genuine desire to see them walk in a way that's healthy in their life. And man, that's beautiful. It wasn't all the luxury. It wasn't all the bling. It wasn't all of that. And that can be very difficult for us. So sometimes, when we look at our lives and we see that, oh man, I've focused everything on my home or anything on this, sometimes those are just shining our insecurities. They're just showing that really we have a lot of insecurity, and so we want to do things, make us feel good. That's why we do them. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel more accomplished. And what this chapter I see focuses on is those things are going to burn. It's, that's what the Bible teaches. All things will burn. And if it burns, it might not be that good to invest too much in to things that burn, but to things that last forever. People. Yeah, they last forever. Maybe that's the best investment of all. And maybe that's just why Jesus comes to save us. Because he sees our value. Yeah, made in the image of God. Right? Built for eternity. So cool stuff. Man, love that. Anyway, you guys have a great one. Good chapter. Man, very fun to be back in. Pray for me as I try to get over this sinus stuff. Okay? We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.